Well, that Super Speedway race at Talladega was definitely way better than the Daytona 500. That's for sure. What's going, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching the Geico 500 from Talladega Super Speedway, the 10th race in the NASCAR Cup Series season, and the second time we've been to a Super Speedway. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. Coming into this weekend, there was a lot of intrigue around this Talladega race, basically because of the fact that Daytona 500 was absolutely terrible and people were looking for a much better Super Speedway race. And I think today overall, we've got a much better Super Speedway race. It definitely, where points was definitely clean throughout the race, but there was definitely some aggression as well in this race. So let's go ahead and jump into today's race. Before the race even dropped, and the green flag basically dropped in today's race, quite a few cars had to go to the back of the field. A lot of Toyotas besides Kyle Busch, guys like Bubba Walls, Denny Hamlin, Mark Truex Jr., Christopher Bell, and also Daniel Suarez would all have to go to the back for making unapproved adjustments. I think Toyota kind of planned that, to be honest with you. They would drop to the back of the field. Early in the race, around one lap or 2 laps in the race, Kyle Larson started having some overheating issues, and unfortunately, he would be the first casualty of the race with some overheating issues, and he would end up finishing last in today's race with those. His engine basically like around 7 or 8 laps in, and he would basically be the first victim to fall out of the race because of engine issues. We then go racing basically to the end of the competition, with a lot of comers and goers. There definitely was single file train racing and points in the race, but there's definitely a lot of aggression as well. Early in the race, you had guys like William Byron, who led some laps, and Joey Logano. Then Bubba Wallace, who's up there, led a couple laps as well. And then coming to the competition, caution, the leader's race would actually end up being Kyle Busch. We then go back racing on lap 31 in this race. And the second caution race this race will come out for Joey Gase, basically spinning off of turn number 4. He would come off turn number 4. That 28 car that looked really, really awesome. But Joey Gase paying tribute to Davey Allison as he was an organ donor. He would spin coming off of turn number 4, and he would bring out the second caution of this race. We would then go back racing on lap 44 with around 17 laps to go in stage number 1, with quite a few contenders contending for this race lead. You had guys like Ryan Blaney and Denny Hamlin, who Denny Hamlin led a good portion of this race. And then there was some shuffling throughout the field, guys like Matt DiBenedetto. And Matt DiBenedetto actually would make the pass at around 9 or 8 laps to go. And he actually would come to the end of stage 1, winning the stage. Now, meanwhile, on the last lap of stage number 1, there was a lot of intensity that started building up as guys were about to make their move. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. basically was attempting to basically make a move. He got into Denny Hamlin a little bit. Hamlin would actually overcorrect and hit Joey Logano, and Joey Logano would basically go up and over, and he would flip upside down, and Bubba Wallace would get a very, very good angle. Bubba would get some damage in that incident as well, but Bubba Wallace has been able to continue on. Also, meanwhile, Brad Keselowski and Chase Briscoe would also end up getting involved in a crash, and also Ricky Stenhouse Jr. would get a lot of damage on his car as well, but he was able to continue in this race. Joe Logano, in his post-race interview, was definitely not very happy. He basically said they have to do something about the Super Speedway racing. I think it's just the aggression, in my honest opinion. But Joe Logano, one of the favorites coming in Spain, who looked really strong early in the race at Talladega, he was taken out of this race because of that crash. We then go back racing on lap 67 of this race, and then the next caution race, actually there was a lot of racing that was going on at this point. You had guys up in the front like Ryan Newman and Chase Elliott, who was up front leading quite a few laps. And then Matt DiBenedetto, who looked really, really strong in this race, was also leading. And then the next caution in this race would come out with around 80 laps to go in this race for some fluid down the backstretch. I think there was some crashing that ended up taking place. And also during that time, Kyle Busch and Matt DiBenedetto had an incident going off of turn number 4. Kyle Busch basically stated DiBenedetto kind of forced Kyle Busch down. I guess Kyle Busch also got a little bit loose as well. That would end up happening, but they both were able to save it and continue on. And once again, coming to the end of stage number 2, Bubba Wallace is actually the leader of this race. Bubba Wallace, who had a very fast car today, MISP, who looked really, really strong. He ended up basically taking the race lead. And then with around the last lap, coming off of turn number 4 in stage number 2, there would be a late race incident coming to the end of stage number 2. Basically, Brad Keselowski kind of threw up blocking, and Denny Hamlin kind of had the same situation he had in the first stage coming out. He would get a little sideways, and he would collect all 3 of the remaining Hendrick cars of Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, and William Byron, and also collect Mark Truex Jr. as well. Alex Bowman was not able to continue to go on for the end of the race, but the other 4 drivers, as a matter of fact, were able to continue on in this race. We then go back racing on lap 127 in this race, and the big question now is, when are you going to come down pit road in this race? This race ended up being domination by guys like Matt DiBenedetto. Eric Almirola also led a lot of this race as well. And then the aggression started picking up. In the beginning of the stage, you had a lot of guys who were trying to save it to make sure they could get to the end of the race, and no big ones were really, really happening. There were a couple smaller races, but there weren't a lot of big ones that were happening in the race. Then Ross Chastain started getting really aggressive. And then with around 35 to 40 laps to go in this race, pit stops started happening. You had some groups. You had the shakeup of the Fords, the Chevys, and the Toyotas. they started shaking up, and basically the guy who ended up having the race lead up to that point would end up being Christopher Bell. Then Christopher Bell was told that he didn't get the fuel tank filled up, so he would have to drop to the tail end, and Ross Chastain would actually get the race lead. But all the groups would conjoin and come back together, and then the racing started kind of picking up once again with 2 wide and 3 wide, extremely, really awesome racing would end up taking place in that point. And then the next caution in this race to come out, and actually the second last caution, which would change everything up in this race, with around 6 laps to go. The crash that everyone basically the caution that basically everyone needed would come out with around 16 laps to go. Quinn Houff would have a tire going down back in turn number 2. He would get into the outside wall and bring out the caution with the flat tire with 16 laps to go in this race. We would go back racing with around 12 laps to go, and then basically for a few laps on the restart, the aggression was definitely picked up. You had guys like Eric Jones who looked really strong, and Matt DiBenedetto who actually took the race lead on that ensuing restart. They were battling for the lead back and forth, and then with around 9 or 8 laps to go in this race, they all started getting single file formed up to the outside wall, basically trying to anticipate. And you had guys on the bottom like William Byron were trying to make the moves, Bubba Wallace, other guys, and then also, of course, Bubba Wallace tried to make it 3 wide, and it really, unfortunately, did not work out for Bubba Wallace, and basically split that up. And then the final caution in this race to come out for Sabria on the backstretch, Mark Truex Jr. had a tire going down with around 6 laps to go. Then he came down pit road, and then tire went down once again, and the tire carcass went on the racetrack, and the final caution in this race would come out with 3 laps to go in this race. Then Kyle Busch and Bubba Wallace, they actually ended up having to basically pit. I wonder if they were short on fuel. Mike Wheeler, I think, made a bad call, in my honest opinion. But they would have to come down pit road, I guess, where they were short on fuel. I really don't know, to be perfectly honest with you. But they would come down pit road and unfortunately lose their chance of winning this race. So on the ensuing restart, and the final restart, as a matter of fact, you had guys like Matt DiBenedetto and Brad Keselowski up front and Michael McDowell that were in contention in this race. The final 2 laps get going, and there was a lot of intensity, a lot of pushing, a lot of shoving. Going into turn number 1, a lot of great racing once again. And then coming to the white flag, you had a huge run coming from guys like Michael McDowell and Brad Keselowski, also Ryan Blaney, who was starting to basically come up to the top as well. Blaney was really looking to have a chance to make a run. Then Matt DiBenedetto shoots up high, and then Brad Keselowski basically makes the pass after he had been involved in a wreck. Brad Keselowski basically makes the pass for the lead on the bottom. You could see there was a lot of runs that were starting to happen in this race. There was a lot of back and forth jousting through the field. He had guys like Kyle Busch trying to make their run up to the front. Tyler Reddick was making moves. His car looked really fast. And then Ryan Blaney and them were looking to make a run. But Brad Keselowski would put on a lot of strong blocks and make a really great block. And coming off of turn number 4, Eric Jones would wreck into the outside wall really hard after having a pretty solid day. He would get into the outside wall. And then Ross Chastain would crash really hard against that wall coming off the tri-oval and coming to the checker flag with all those wrecks basically happening. Brad Keselowski basically holds on and wins his 6th career race at Talladega and becomes the 9th driver to win in 2021 and finally wins his first race of a 2021 season. Brad Keselowski definitely had to come back from a lot of adversity today. He actually had to come basically from the back after getting involved in a couple wrecks today. He had to basically bounce back from a lot of adversity today. And Brad Keselowski is one of the best drivers here at Talladega. Now he's his 2nd all-time winner. I think he's tied for 2nd now with Dale Earnhardt Jr. as winners at Talladega. He's had 6 career wins at Talladega. That is absolutely incredible, regardless of how you feel. He made a last lap pass win. It's the only lap he led, but he was right there at the moment. He was really, really fast in the race. He was up front at the end, in contention. And if you're right there, you were going to have a chance to win. In my opinion, let's talk about Matt DiBenedetto basically making the move too late, in my opinion. I think if I was Matt DiBenedetto, I should have held on to the lead on the bottom and kept him behind Brad Keselowski. Yes, Brian Blaney was getting a huge run, a guy that had been fast all day. He was getting a huge run onto the outside. But there really, in my opinion, was nothing that they could do. I think DiBenedetto should have stayed on the bottom and not gone up to the top, because if he stays on the bottom, I don't think Brad Keselowski wins this race. I think Matt DiBenedetto would have won his first career race. But Brad Keselowski did the right thing, in my opinion. He was right there, and no controversy in the race. So once again, huge congratulations to Brad Keselowski on winning his first race of 2021. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the race results. So Brad Keselowski becomes the 9th driver to win in 2021 by winning today's race at Talladega. Very strong run for Brad Keselowski. William Byron, after getting involved in that wreck coming into stage 2, bounces back to 2nd. William Byron has absolutely been consistent this year. He's looked really, really strong. Him and Rudy Fugle teaming up has been very, very important. He gets 2nd in today's race. Michael McDowell with this 3rd or 4th top 5 of the year. Really strong run for Michael McDowell today. He was up front in a lot of the race and finished 3rd. Great run for him. Kevin Hart finishes 4th in today's race. A very big bounce back week for Kevin Hart, but Kevin Hart crashed at the end of the Richmond race after running top 5. He gets a top 5 today. Very strong run for him. And Matt DiBenedetto, despite having his issues, he's definitely been showing up here the last couple weeks. His first top 5 of the year, and his second straight top 10 as well. He's been definitely getting in the right direction and coming in his zone. He gets a 5th place finish today. I think he's right now on the verge of being in the playoffs. He's almost in there. He's been coming back. I think he's going to get a win here sooner or later. 6th place for Keselowski. Keselowski with a top 10 run today. Second time that College Racing has gotten a top 10 this year. And second top 10 for Keselowski in his Cup Series career in 3 starts. Really good run for Keselowski today. He was up there in the race and was in position to go for the victory. 7 for Tyler Reddick. A nice top 10 for Tyler Reddick here. Austin Dillon finished safe. A good top 10 for him. Ryan Blaney finished his 9th. And then Chase and Cole Custer finished his 10th. He gets his first top 10 of the year. Chase Briscoe finished 11th. Really needed a good run as well. He gets a 11th place run. Good run for Chase Briscoe today. Anthony Alfredo finished his 12th. Ryan Newman finished 13th. Ryan Preece gets top 15. Nice to see that. Eric Almirola finished 15th. The best run SHR has basically had all year so far with the best average finish for that team. Top 15 all for SHR. Nice to see that for sure. 16th for Ross Chastain. Chris Rebel finished his 17th. 18th for Kyle Busch. 19th for Bubba Wallace. So Bubba Wallace is definitely there today. He definitely made a statement for himself. He was definitely up front in this race. Led a lot of laps today as well. He looked really, really strong. Also won a stage today, by the way. The first time they've gotten a stage. That team is going to get it together. They really needed that performance today. And they needed all those points. And they get a 19th place finish. Good run for Bubba Wallace today. And Harrison Burr finishes 20th in today's race. Chris Buescher finished 21st, 22nd for Corey LaJoie, 23rd for Daniel Suarez. He actually got sideways coming off of turn number 2 at the last lap. Chase Elliott finished 24th. BJ McLeod finishes 25th. 26th place for Eric Jones. Actually, 26th place goes to J.J. Yeley. 27th for Eric Jones. 28th place goes to Cody Ware. 29th for Timmy O. Justin Haley finished his 30th. Mark Truex Jr. finished his 31st in today's race. 32nd place goes to Denny Hamlin. Worst run that Denny Hamlin has had all year. He was absolutely struggling all day long. Reese Nash Jr. finished 33rd. Joey Gase finished 34th. Kurt Busch finished his 35th. I think Kurt Busch had an issue. I think he was smoking. He had to come down because he had a black flag. That would take him out of contention. Josh Blakey finished his 36th. 37th place for Quinn Alf. 38th for Alex Bowman. 39th for Joey Logano. And finishing last in today's race is Kyle Larson. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the point standings of the regular season points and also look at the playoff standings as well. So Denny Hamlin currently still sits as a regular season points leader by 87 points over Mark Truex Jr. Joey Logano is 93 points back at this moment. William Byron is 4th in the points. He's been really consistent. Ryan Blaney is 5th. Brad Keselowski is 6th after winning today's race. He locks himself in. 7th place is Kevin Harvick. 8th place Chase Elliott. Kyle Larson is 9th. Christopher Bell is 10th in the points. 11th is Kyle Busch. 12th is Austin Dillon. 13th, Michael McDowell, which has been really good, by the way, this year. Alex Bowman, 14th. Rick Essender Jr., 15th. And Chris Buescher finishes 16th. Right now, Matt DiBenedetto is actually the first driver that is outside of the playoffs that has not gotten a win so far this year. He's actually really close. He's only 12 points outside. He's tied with Kurt Busch. He's 13 points back. Matt DiBenedetto is absolutely turning around the corner, and that is for dang sure. So, anyway, let's go ahead and give you my score and thoughts of today's race. You know, usually these Talladega races are definitely super, super crazy, especially the last couple years. And while I thought that today's race is definitely a lot tamer than a usual Talladega race that we've seen the last couple years, I have to say that this race was absolutely really, really good. You had a lot of good battles for the lead. The aggression was there. Like I said, it was clean. You had some of the single-file train racing as well at certain points in this race. But I thought that today's race was really, really good. There definitely were wrecks in this race, and some big wrecks happened. There were 2 that happened today. But it wasn't as crazy as previous Talladega races. It seems like the spring Talladega race is becoming the tamer Talladega race. But in my opinion, it was still a very, very excellent race today. And we got to see the 9th driver win this year of 10 races. I think the question now is starting to come is, are we going to end up getting 16 different winners in the regular season? Because now with Brad Keselowski winning, he is now the 9th driver to score a victory this year. And there was only 7 spots left in the playoffs. And there's a lot of drivers that have not won this year. You have guys like Denny Hamlin now. And you also have Chase Elliott, who's not won this year. And you got Kyle Busch, who's still not won. And you got a lot of drivers that are showing some speed. Matt DiBenedetto's starting to show some speed here. And there's a lot of really crazy races that are coming up here really, really soon. So the big question now is, are we going to have 16 winners for the regular season? That's going to be a big question that we're going to have to watch as we get closer to the playoff run. But my score of today's race, I'm going to give today's race at Talladega Superspeedway a 9.5 out of 10. This race is absolutely excellent. It's absolutely incredible. And I enjoyed today's race very, very much as well. Next week, we're headed to Kansas Speedway, the 11th race, and we might be able to see a first-time winner as well. Will we get that? I really don't know. But we saw a very solid and a very good race today here at Talladega Superspeedway. So, anyway, that is going to be for today's race review from Talladega Superspeedway. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on so you be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support my Patreon as well. Links description below for that, and comment your thoughts on today's race. What are your thoughts on today's race? Let me know in comments below, and let me know your score below as well. And congratulate Brad Keselowski on winning today's race at Talladega Super Speedway. Let me know that in the comments below. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content. Take care, everybody.